Welcome, dear friends, to a tranquil journey through the vast and haunting world of Fallout. This beloved series, born from the ashes of a post apocalyptic vision, has captured our imaginations for decades, drawing us into a world where nuclear devastation has reshaped the very fabric of life. Tonight, we will wander through the remnants of this broken world, uncovering forgotten facts, hidden stories, and the incredible lore that makes Fallout so unforgettable. From the terrifying vaults to the rusted technology that remains, we will explore the mysteries, factions, and legends that have defined this haunting universe since its first breath in 1997. As we drift through these tales, the echoes of a world torn apart will be softened by the gentle pace of these stories, inviting you to rest and unwind as the night stretches on. Now, as you settle into your bed, take a slow, deep breath. Allow your body to release any tension, your thoughts to quiet, and your heart to soften. The world outside may be bustling with noise, but here, in this peaceful moment, you are safe, free to relax, and listen to the quiet unfolding of forgotten history. And if you enjoy drifting through stories like this, you're welcome to subscribe and softly tell me where you're listening from tonight. Let the stories begin, and may the quiet journey through this world of Fallout guide you gently into rest. Fact 1. Fallout begins in an alternate history, a world where the Cold War never truly ended. Instead of fading into history, the tensions between the United States and China grew, culminating in a nuclear conflict that would reshape the planet. In the 2070s, as the world's resources dwindled and global tension reached its peak, a dark chapter of humanity began. It was not just war that brought devastation. It was the failure of diplomacy, the greed for resources, and the fragile thread of civilization that snapped. The Great War, lasting only 2 hours, left the world a scarred wasteland, the remnants of human ambition buried beneath nuclear ash. Fact 2. The Great War was the sudden and devastating event that forever altered the course of history in the Fallout universe. Just as the world was teetering on the edge, both the United States and China unleashed their nuclear arsenals in a final act of desperation. In a matter of moments, as cities were wiped from existence, radiation spread like a poison across the land, and the earth fell silent. The resulting chaos plunged the survivors into a new dark age, where the remnants of old civilizations struggled to rebuild amidst a new and unfamiliar world, one that had been irrevocably altered by the very forces of human creation. Fact 3. While the Great War left most of the planet uninhabitable, it did not leave humanity without hope. The Vault Tech Corporation had already begun constructing a series of underground bunkers known as the Vaults, designed to shelter a select portion of humanity from the devastation above. However, not all of these vaults were built with the intent to save people. They were part of a larger, secretive government experiment. Each vault contained its own unique and often sinister experiment, ranging from psychological studies to bizarre social control experiments. In a world lost to radiation, the vaults became both the sanctuary and the prisons of those who survived. Fact 4. The vaults were designed to protect, yes, but they were also crafted to test. Many were sealed with an artificial scarcity of supplies, creating conditions that would test the endurance and moral fiber of their inhabitants. Some vaults, for instance, only had enough food and water for a few people, with the rest relying on the choices of the few who had control over these resources. Other vaults were filled with genetically modified experiments, or those who were intentionally exposed to toxic substances, all in the name of scientific progress. Those who lived in the vaults thus might have survived the Great War, but they often faced darker horrors in their supposed safety. Fact 5. Among the most notable of these vaults is Vault 101, the setting for the first Fallout game. Vault 101 had the reputation of being an unflinching symbol of isolation. Its doors were never meant to open. Unlike other vaults, which were part of the government's experiments, Vault 101 was meant to remain closed forever, its inhabitants living out their lives in isolation without any knowledge of the outside world. The vault's overseer ruled with an iron fist, ensuring that every rule was followed and every exit was sealed. In this safe, sterile environment, the inhabitants were shielded from the chaos of the outside world, yet also trapped within their own fear and ignorance. Fact 6. One of the most iconic aspects of the Fallout universe is its music, a haunting and nostalgic reminder of the world before the Great War. The game's soundtrack is filled with old-timey 1940s and 1950s tunes, which create a jarring contrast against the bleak, post-apocalyptic setting. These songs are a reminder of the optimistic, consumer-driven society that existed before everything changed. Songs like I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire and Maybe evoke a sense of innocence lost, as if the soundtrack of the old world still lingers in the ruins, haunting those who now navigate its crumbling streets. Fact 7. The first Fallout game, released in 1997, was set in the year 2161, a full 84 years after the Great War. The world was a desert, filled with wreckage and ruin, but the story was just beginning. The player took on the role of the Vault Dweller, a brave soul who ventured out from the safety of Vault 13 in search of a water chip to save their dying vault. Along the way, the Vault Dweller encountered various factions, mutants, and survivors, each one struggling to rebuild their own place in the wasteland. Despite the overwhelming desolation, these characters represented the fragile thread of hope that humanity could and perhaps would find a way to endure. Fact 8. One of the key elements of Fallout's world building is its divergence from real-world history. In the Fallout universe, the United States' obsession with nuclear power and its idealization of 1950s Americana led to a very different technological trajectory. The world of Fallout is stuck in an alternate timeline where technology developed at a much slower pace, mimicking the look and feel of the 1950s. In this world, the jet age never arrived, and robots as well as nuclear-powered cars were commonplace, even in everyday life. The resulting aesthetic, a blend of retrofuturism and post-apocalyptic decay, became one of the most defining features of the series. Fact 9. Fallout's approach to the nuclear wasteland is both poetic and deeply sobering. While most media would portray nuclear war as a sudden, violent cataclysm, Fallout's world shows the slow, agonizing aftermath. Radiation mutates the creatures and the environment, turning once beautiful landscapes into twisted, dangerous terrain. The sky is permanently marred by the glow of radioactive storms, and the sun shines through a thin haze, as if the very air itself is stained by the horrors of the past. The beauty of this world, however, lies in the perseverance of its people who continue to survive and rebuild amidst the ruin, seeking a semblance of normality in an otherwise fractured existence. Fact 10. The wasteland is not just a place of survival, but one of discovery. Hidden in its desolation are remnants of the old world, waiting to be uncovered. Old magazines, books, and broken machines litter the landscape, remnants of a time long forgotten. For those brave enough to explore, there are valuable resources to be found, as well as deep secrets about the world before the war. Each piece of history unearthed tells a story, stories of who we were and what we might have been had the world not fallen into ruin. In a sense, the wasteland itself is a vast, silent museum of humanity's rise and fall. Fact 11. The vaults, created by the Vault-Tec Corporation, were not simply designed to be shelters from the nuclear fallout. They were also a cover for the most secretive and often disturbing experiments. While some vaults served as mere safe havens, others were more like prisons or laboratories. Each vault was equipped with its own unique set of challenges, and many inhabitants were unaware of the true nature of the experiments they were part of. Some vaults, for example, were equipped with artificial intelligence that controlled every aspect of life within, testing how people would react to constant surveillance and manipulation. Fact 12. The most infamous vault in the Fallout universe, Vault 13, is where the story of the first Fallout game begins. Vault 13 was one of the few vaults designed with the intention of preserving humanity. However, Vault-Tec's true experiment was in its control over the people inside. The vault's water chip, a crucial part of its life support system, malfunctioned, setting the protagonist, the vault dweller, on a journey to the wasteland to recover it. Vault 13's experiment was simple. How long would the inhabitants survive with limited resources and no contact with the outside world? The answer was clear, though tragic. The vault's people had been cut off from a world that had long since crumbled. Fact 13. Not all vaults were built in isolation. Some, such as Vault 8, were located near populated regions and had the task of observing society's recovery after the Great War. Vault 8 became the home of the new California Republic, NCR, one of the largest factions in the Fallout universe. Vault 8's people helped establish this new civilization, bringing with them technology and knowledge from their vault. It is a testament to humanity's resilience and drive to rebuild, even in the face of such devastating loss. Vault 8, then, became more than just a shelter. It became a foundation for future hope and restoration. Fact 14. One of the most tragic experiments was conducted in Vault 12, where the inhabitants were subjected to a horrific fate. Vault 12 was designed with an open vault door, a deliberate flaw that was never meant to be fixed. This design exposed its residents to lethal doses of radiation, and the experiment was intended to study the effects of prolonged exposure. The result was the creation of the horrific feral ghouls, radiation-mutated humans who were driven mad by the contamination. Vault 12 serves as a grim reminder of the cost of unchecked scientific ambition and the terrible price paid by those who were forced to endure its consequences. Fact 15. Some vaults, though, were intended to carry out experiments in social engineering. Vault 77 is a prime example. This vault contained only one person, a single man, isolated with only a puppet for company. Vault 77 was an experiment in extreme isolation, and its sole inhabitant was left to live in the most bizarre of circumstances. Over the years, the man grew attached to the puppet, eventually treating it as his only companion. This story highlights the immense psychological toll that isolation can have on the human mind and the lengths to which Vault-Tec would go to test the human spirit in the face of loneliness and despair. Fact 16. Vault 69 is another peculiar vault, built to study gender dynamics under extreme conditions. This vault housed 999 women and one man, and its purpose was to explore how a society could evolve under these unusual circumstances. In the vault, the one man was the only male capable of reproducing, leading to a complete collapse of social order as tensions and violence erupted between the inhabitants. The experiment ultimately failed, leaving behind a dark history of chaos and broken relationships. Vault 69 is a reminder that even in the most controlled environments, human nature often defies prediction, creating chaos where there was once order. Fact 17, Vault 108, a vault known for its truly horrific experiment, focused on the cloning of humans. Vault Tech decided to test whether an entire society could be based on a series of identical clones. Vault 108 housed a single individual, a man named Gary, who was cloned repeatedly, resulting in hundreds of identical versions of him. These clones, known as Garys, were left to live in a sterile, isolated environment. Over time, the Garys lost all sense of individuality, and their community degenerated into madness. Vault 108 shows the terrifying consequences of dehumanizing people through extreme scientific manipulation. Fact 18, Vault 95, located in the Nevada desert, was another experiment designed to test the limits of human nature. This vault was equipped with a vast supply of drugs, and the inhabitants were given easy access to them to study addiction and its effects on a closed society. The residents of Vault 95 quickly descended into substance abuse, with addiction becoming rampant among the population. As the experiment spiraled out of control, Vault Tech abandoned the vault, leaving its citizens to succumb to their addiction and the harsh wasteland outside. Vault 95 stands as a chilling testament to the darker sides of human behavior, revealing how quickly civilization can unravel under pressure. Fact 19, another unsettling vault, Vault 34, was designed to house a large population and a vast arsenal of weapons. However, the vault's design became its undoing. Vault 34 was equipped with a massive stockpile of firearms, yet it was also designed without adequate ventilation and was cut off from proper communication with the outside world. Over time, the inhabitants, faced with extreme isolation and lack of resources, began to fight over the weapons, leading to brutal violence. Vault 34 is a grim reminder of the dangers of arming people without providing the means for cooperation and peace. Fact 20. Vault Tech's ultimate legacy is a dark one, filled with experiments that, while designed to ensure the survival of humanity, often left behind ruined lives and broken societies. The vaults themselves became tombs of failed dreams and twisted experiments, each one a silent memorial to the price paid for scientific curiosity and control. The survivors who emerged from the vaults, many of them scarred by their experiences, would be forever changed by the horrors they witnessed and endured. The vaults are not merely shelters, they are symbols of humanity's unyielding desire for control, even in the face of the most unimaginable disasters. Fact 21. The Brotherhood of Steel, one of the most iconic factions in Fallout, was born from a military organization in the aftermath of the Great War. Originally a group of soldiers and scientists who had sought shelter in the Los Angeles region during the war, they emerged from the wreckage with a single goal: to recover and preserve pre-war technology. Believing that humanity's future depended on maintaining control over advanced technology, the Brotherhood would go on to shape much of the post-apocalyptic world. They are often seen as both protectors and hoarders, holding knowledge that could either save or destroy the remnants of civilization. Fact 22. The Brotherhood of Steel's code is based on the idea that technology, once lost or destroyed, cannot simply be reintroduced without consequence. They are fiercely protective of the most powerful technologies, such as nuclear weapons, robotics, and computers, believing that their misuse could doom humanity once again. The Brotherhood's obsession with technology often leads them into conflict with other factions. Some view them as saviors, while others see them as dangerous zealots hoarding power for themselves. For the Brotherhood, the preservation of knowledge and technology is not just a mission, it is a sacred duty to ensure the survival of humanity. Fact 23. The Brotherhood of Steel's leader, known as the Elder, is responsible for guiding their mission and ensuring that their technology obsessed doctrines are upheld. The elders are chosen based on their experience and wisdom, and they are expected to make difficult decisions that affect the entire faction. Their leadership is often a source of both strength and division, as different elders have different ideas about how best to interact with the outside world. While some elders are more open to diplomacy and cooperation, others see the Brotherhood's power as a means of domination, which can lead to internal strife and even splinter factions. Fact 24. One of the most iconic elements of the Brotherhood of Steel is their power armor. This advanced suit of armor is a symbol of their strength and their ability to control technology. Power armor allows the Brotherhood to dominate the battlefield, giving them unmatched defense and firepower. However, it also requires immense resources to maintain and a special kind of training to use effectively. Those who wear the power armor are seen as the elite among the Brotherhood, but this also means they are held to the highest standards of conduct and duty. Power armor, in many ways, represents the Brotherhood's unyielding commitment to their cause. Fact 25. While the Brotherhood of Steel is often portrayed as a militaristic faction, they also possess an underlying philosophical belief in the importance of preserving knowledge and history. This belief is especially evident in their missions to locate and protect important pre-war libraries, databanks, and museums. The Brotherhood's obsession with these relics of the old world is driven by their understanding that knowledge can shape the future. The libraries and data centers they recover are more than just repositories of information. They are the building blocks of a future that the Brotherhood hopes to rebuild from the ashes of the past. Fact 26. Over time, the Brotherhood of Steel grew from a small, isolated faction into a powerful force with a wide influence on the wasteland. Their military might, combined with their technological superiority, allowed them to exert control over large portions of the post-war world. The Brotherhood's reach extends from the western United States to the East Coast, where their branches operate with varying degrees of authority and success. Some Brotherhood chapters, like those in the Mojave Wasteland, have embraced a more flexible approach, working with other factions and communities. Others, however, remain rigid in their isolationism, seeing outsiders as threats to their mission. Fact 27. The Brotherhood's relationship with the people of the wasteland is complicated. While they are often seen as protectors of humanity, their high-handedness and strict code of conduct can create tension with other groups. They are viewed by some as a beacon of hope, especially by those who see their advanced technology as the key to survival. However, others perceive them as authoritarian, using their technological prowess to control others rather than liberate them. This dichotomy has led to both admiration and resentment toward the Brotherhood, with factions such as the New California Republic, NCR, and the Enclave often clashing with them over their different ideologies. Fact 28. One of the most pivotal moments in the Brotherhood's history is the creation of the Outcasts, a faction formed by Brotherhood members who rejected the strict hierarchy and doctrines of the main group. The outcasts were driven by a desire for more freedom, and they sought to use the Brotherhood's technology in a less authoritarian way. They felt that the Brotherhood had lost its way, becoming more focused on power and control than on the preservations of knowledge and helping others. The outcasts are often portrayed as rebels, fighting for a more compassionate use of technology, though their actions are sometimes viewed as misguided by the main Brotherhood faction. Fact 29. Despite their sometimes harsh methods, the Brotherhood of Steel has often found themselves in a position of moral authority in the wasteland. Their technological superiority and their belief in controlling dangerous knowledge have made them key players in the post apocalyptic political landscape. However, this authority has often been challenged, especially by groups like the NCR, who believe in a more democratic approach to rebuilding society. The Brotherhood's refusal to embrace diplomacy or to share their technology freely has made them both powerful and divisive, leading to tensions with other factions that seek to control or redistribute the knowledge they hoard. Fact 30. The Brotherhood of Steel's influence on the world of Fallout is profound, as they are not just a military faction, but also an ideological one. Their belief that technology should be preserved and controlled has shaped much of the post war world's view on progress. They are protectors of a past that can never return, and in doing so, they strive to ensure that humanity doesn't repeat the same mistakes. The Brotherhood's actions are a reminder that in the world of Fallout, knowledge is power, and sometimes that power can be both a blessing and a curse, depending on who wields it and how. Fact 31. The Enclave, one of the most mysterious and formidable factions in the Fallout universe, is born from the remnants of the pre-war United States government. When the Great War decimated the worlds, the Enclave was not destroyed, but rather took refuge in a secret underground facility, preparing for the day they could reclaim control over what remained of the world. The Enclave's leaders saw themselves as the last true representatives of the old United States, and they believed that humanity could only be saved through their leadership. With their advanced technology and brutal ideology, the Enclave became a symbol of both hope and terror in the wasteland. Fact 32. The Enclave's commitment to restoring the old order of the United States is what drives their actions throughout the Fallout series. They are a faction that believes in the superiority of their bloodline, those who are descended from pre-war American elites, and seek to rebuild society according to their own strict ideals. In their view, the wasteland's survivors are nothing more than a corrupted, mutated mess that needs to be purged in order to restore the nation to its former glory. This radical and supremacist belief makes the Enclave one of the most dangerous forces in the post-apocalyptic world. Fact 33. One of the defining characteristics of the Enclave is their advanced technology, which far surpasses that of most other factions in the wasteland. Their power armor, robotic soldiers, and airships are all symbols of their belief that they can control and dominate the broken world. The Enclave's most notorious invention, however, is the FEV, Forced Evolutionary Virus, which they use to create super mutants and other mutated creatures for their own purposes. While the Enclave claims to be working toward a greater good, their experiments and actions often lead to suffering and destruction for those caught in their path. Fact 34. Despite their technological superiority, the Enclave's influence is not as widespread as they would like. They operate primarily from their secret base on the oil rig, out of sight and out of mind for most of the wasteland's inhabitants. This isolationism, however, has not prevented them from attempting to seize power. The Enclave's presence has often been felt indirectly through the remnants of their influence in various parts of the wasteland. For example, their legacy can be seen in places like the capital wasteland, where they once had a stronghold, and in their ongoing attempts to manipulate the NCR and other factions. Fact 35. In Fallout 2, the player encounters the Enclave in a more direct way. The Enclave has taken control of a massive oil rig off the coast of the wasteland, and from there, they launch an operation to wipe out the remnants of the Vault Dwellers' descendants, who are trying to save their world. The player is forced to confront the Enclave's ideals and decide whether to stand against them or join forces with them. This pivotal moment in the game challenges the player's own beliefs about the future of the wasteland as they weigh the Enclave's cold, calculated logic against the hope of survival for all. Fact 36. The Enclave's leader, known as the President, is often a symbol of their authoritarian beliefs. In Fallout 2, the President is a remnant of the pre-war government, a figurehead who serves as the face of the Enclave's power. However, the true power lies with the higher-ups in the Enclave, who are not bound by the same ideals of democracy and freedom that their ancestors once cherished. Instead, they focus on maintaining control over the remaining population, using their technology and their military might to crush any resistance. The President's role is one of propaganda, keeping the Enclave's ideals alive in the face of growing opposition. Fact 37. While the Enclave's power is great, it is also fragile. Over time, their technological dominance becomes increasingly difficult to maintain as the wasteland's conditions and the growing resistance from other factions take their toll. The Enclave is slowly but surely losing its grip on the world as the forces of the wasteland fight back. In Fallout 3, the player is faced with the challenge of ending the Enclave's reign of terror once and for all. As the remnants of the Enclave fall apart, it becomes clear that their belief in their own superiority has blinded them to the realities of the wasteland and the need for cooperation. Fact 38. In Fallout 3, the player uncovers the Enclave's dark secret. They were behind the creation of a deadly biological weapon intended to wipe out all mutated life on the planet. This weapon, called the Project Purity, was meant to create a clean world by killing any mutant or irradiated creatures. This genocidal plan made the Enclave one of the most despised factions in the wasteland. Yet despite their attempts to impose order and cleanliness on the world, the Enclave ultimately fell to its own internal divisions and the relentless efforts of the player and other factions who refused to let them succeed. Fact 39. The Enclave's belief in racial purity and their desire to eliminate any undesirable mutations is central to their ideology. Their desire to cleanse the world of anything they deem impure, including mutants, ghouls, and other non human beings, makes them one of the most dangerous factions in Fallout. This belief in a perfect society is one that has been explored in many of the series' games, but the Enclave's vision is often shown to be misguided and harmful. By focusing on purging the world of perceived threats, the Enclave ignores the need for unity and cooperation in a world that is already fractured and struggling to survive. Fact 40. Despite their fall from power, the Enclave's influence is still felt in the wasteland. Their legacy lives on in the remnants of their technology, their experiments, and the people they left behind. Even as the Enclave's military might fades, their ideals continue to shape the future of the wasteland. The Enclave is a reminder that the past never truly disappears, and that the decisions made in times of power and fear can echo throughout the ages. In the end, the Enclave's story is one of ambition, ideology, and the dangers of unchecked authority. Fact 41. The world of Fallout is shaped by the many factions that vie for control, power, and survival. These groups are as diverse as the wasteland itself, each one driven by their own goals and ideals. Some seek to rebuild civilization, while others seek to rule with an iron fist. Among the most significant factions is the New California Republic, NCR, a democratic republic that aims to restore order and rebuild the world based on the ideals of the pre-war United States. Despite its well-intentioned goals, the NCR's expansion has often been met with resistance, and its bureaucratic nature has led to corruption and inefficiency. Fact 42. The NCR, while founded on the principles of democracy, has struggled to maintain control over the vast territories it has expanded into. Their reach stretches across the Mojave Wasteland, and yet they are constantly at odds with various factions, including raiders, mercenaries, and even the Brotherhood of Steel. Despite their commitment to the rule of law and a new society, the NCR has failed to adequately manage the wasteland's harsh realities. Its leaders often find themselves caught in a delicate balance between expansion and preservation, and the heavy toll of their battles weighs on the people they aim to protect. Fact 43. The Caesar's Legion, an empire of brutal warriors led by the self-proclaimed Caesar, is one of the most infamous and terrifying factions in the Fallout universe. Their reign is one of tyranny and subjugation, where brutality and discipline are the core of their ideology. Caesar, whose real name is Legate Lanius, believes in the restoration of ancient Roman values, values that are defined by conquest, slavery, and absolute control. The Legion is known for enslaving its enemies, forcing them into labor or military service. They seek to expand their empire by any means necessary, using fear, force, and manipulation to achieve their goals. Fact 44. While the NCR stands for democracy, the Caesar's Legion is a symbol of dictatorship. Their ideology is built upon the concept of strength and conquest, and they have no tolerance for weakness. Those who oppose them are either crushed or enslaved, and their lands are taken by force. The Legion is a direct challenge to the values of the NCR, and the two factions are often in conflict over control of the Mojave Wasteland. The clash between the NCR and the Legion is one of the most defining struggles in the Fallout universe, with the future of the region hanging in the balance. Fact 45. The Great Khans, another powerful faction in the wasteland, have a storied history. Originally founded by a group of outlaws, the Great Khans are known for their mercenary ways and their long standing ties to the drug trade. They are a nomadic group, constantly moving across the wasteland, selling their services to the highest bidder. Despite their reputation as criminals, the Great Khans are a fiercely loyal group with a code of honor that binds them together. Their leader, the Khan, is seen as both a protector and a warlord, guiding his people through the wasteland's dangers while ensuring their survival. Fact 46. The Great Khans are often at odds with the NCR, who see them as a dangerous and disruptive force. While the NCR seeks to restore order and law, the Great Khans resist this vision, preferring the freedom of their nomadic lifestyle. Their unwillingness to settle down and accept the structure of NCR's government leads to frequent conflicts. Despite these tensions, the Khans have a deep respect for their own culture and traditions. They may be considered outlaws by the NCR and other factions, but in their eyes, they are simply survivors doing what is necessary to thrive in a world that offers little in the way of mercy. Fact 47. The followers of the Apocalypse are a faction that stands in stark contrast to the others in the wasteland. Unlike the NCR, the Caesar's Legion, or the Great Khans, the followers are dedicated to peace, healing, and the preservation of knowledge. They are a group of scholars, doctors, and engineers who seek to help those in need, offering medical care, food, and education to anyone who seeks it. The followers are often seen as the moral compass of the wasteland, striving to rebuild a world based on compassion and cooperation. However, their ideals are frequently tested by the harsh realities of the wasteland. Fact 48. The followers of the Apocalypse were originally founded as a movement to preserve knowledge and technology after the Great War. Their goal was to prevent the collapse of humanity's intellectual and cultural legacy by providing education and medical care to the survivors. Over time, the followers became a vital part of the post-apocalyptic world, helping to rebuild societies and spread knowledge wherever they could. However, their mission has often been at odds with more militant factions, such as the NCR or the Brotherhood of Steel, who view the followers' peaceful methods as naive or even dangerous in a world so defined by survival and conflict. Fact 49. The Raiders are a constant threat in the wasteland, and they come in many forms. These groups are made up of individuals who have rejected the values of society in favor of chaos, violence, and plunder. The Raiders are perhaps the most unpredictable and dangerous faction in Fallout, as their only goal is to take whatever they can through force. They are often described as nothing more than savages, preying on the weak and the vulnerable. Their motivations are as varied as their numbers, but at their core, they are driven by the desire for power and control over the resources they can steal. Fact 50. The emergence of raiders in the Fallout universe reflects the breakdown of society after the Great War. In a world where law and order have disintegrated, some have chosen to embrace the chaos. Raiders are often seen as the embodiment of the anarchic, survivalist mindset that pervades much of the wasteland. They form loose, often violent gangs that roam the deserts and ruined cities, striking fear into the hearts of anyone who crosses their path. While they are not a unified faction like the NCR or the Legion, Raiders are a constant presence, a reminder of the desperation and violence that reigns in the post apocalyptic world. Fact 51: after the Great War, the world was irrevocably changed. The surface of the earth became a wasteland, filled with irradiated ruins, collapsed cities, and the remnants of a civilization that had collapsed in on itself. For the survivors, the task of rebuilding was daunting. Some found shelter in the vaults, while others took refuge in the harsh desert landscapes or turned to scavenging the remnants of the old world. The survivors of this new world were forced to adapt quickly, learning to navigate the dangers of radiation, mutated creatures, and the unpredictable elements of the wasteland. Fact 52: among the most critical elements of the post war world was the development of new societies. As isolated groups of survivors began to form settlements, they started to rely on each other for trade, protection, and survival. In some areas, such as the Capital Wasteland and the Mojave, the creation of small towns and communities became a beacon of hope. These settlements became the foundations for new cultures, where barter systems replaced currencies, and the most valuable resource was often clean water or medical supplies. In the absence of governments and centralized authority, these towns became vital to the survival of the human race. Fact 53: despite the efforts to rebuild, the wasteland remained a place of immense danger. Radiation, a lingering reminder of the war, still poisoned the air and soil, making large parts of the world uninhabitable. The effects of radiation were felt in many ways. Mutated creatures, some terrifying and others bizarre, roamed the land. Radroaches, deathclaws, and super mutants became common threats, pushing the survivors to constantly be on guard. Those who ventured outside the relative safety of settlements did so at their own risk, knowing that the dangers of the wasteland were ever present, and that survival often depended on luck and preparation. Fact 54: while the wasteland was filled with dangers, it was also a place of remarkable discovery. The ruins of the old world held secrets, hidden technologies, and forgotten knowledge that could change the course of humanity's future. Some survivors, such as the Brotherhood of Steel and the followers of the Apocalypse, dedicated their lives to uncovering these mysteries. They sought out old vaults, military installations, and research facilities, hoping to recover the lost technologies of the past. The remnants of the pre-war world, though often corrupted or broken, still held valuable resources that could help rebuild society, provided one could find them. Fact 55: one of the most fascinating aspects of the post-war world is the constant tension between the desire to rebuild civilization and the harsh realities of survival. While some survivors clung to the ideals of the old world, hoping to restore it to its former glory, others rejected those ideals entirely. The wasteland was a place where pragmatism often ruled, and the luxuries and comforts of the old world seemed far out of reach. Those who survived had to adapt quickly, learning to live in a world where the past was no longer a guide and the future was uncertain at best. Fact 56: the landscape of the post-apocalyptic world was not only shaped by nuclear devastation, but also by the natural forces that had been unleashed after the Great War. With much of the old world's infrastructure in ruins, nature began to reclaim what had been lost. Radiation played a significant role in this process, mutating plant life and creating strange new ecosystems. Giant mutated trees, plants, and even animals began to thrive in the new radioactive environment. While this new nature was beautiful in its own way, it was also dangerous. The mutated flora and fauna often posed deadly threats to those who ventured too far from shelter. Fact 57. In the midst of this chaos, the world's survivors began to create their own governments, laws, and ways of life. New factions arose, each with their own vision for the future. The new California Republic, NCR, aimed to recreate a democratic society based on the old world's ideals, while the Enclave, with its authoritarian beliefs, sought to impose its own vision of order. Meanwhile, groups like the Brotherhood of Steel, who hoarded technological knowledge, became influential in the power struggles that defined the wasteland. Those factions not only fought for control over territory, but also for the future direction of the world itself. Fact 58. The Mojave Wasteland, featured in Fallout New Vegas, is one of the most fascinating and complex areas in the post-apocalyptic world. The Mojave is home to a variety of factions, each vying for control over the region's valuable resources. The New California Republic, NCR, the Caesar's Legion, and the mysterious Mr. House all seek to control the Mojave, but their paths to power are radically different. The NCR, with its democratic ideals, attempts to bring order and law to the region, while Caesar's Legion seeks to conquer it through brutal force. Mr. House, the enigmatic figure who controls the New Vegas Strip, plays his own game of manipulation and control. Fact 59. The weather in the wasteland plays a significant role in shaping life for the survivors. The Mojave, for instance, is an arid desert where water is scarce and the sun beats down relentlessly on the landscape. Yet despite the harshness of the environment, life has found a way to survive. The desert's creatures, from the venomous rad scorpions to the ferocious cazadores, have adapted to the harsh conditions. The survivors, too, have learned to cope with the challenges of the environment, building shelters to protect themselves from the heat and scavenging what they can from the land. In many ways, the wasteland's weather is as much a part of its identity as its ruins and ruins. Fact 60. The concept of survival is central to the Fallout universe, and nowhere is this more evident than in the people who inhabit the wasteland. Survivors are forced to adapt to their environment, making use of whatever resources they can find. Whether it's scavenging scrap metal to build weapons, trading goods to acquire food and medicine, or forming alliances with other groups for protection, survival is a constant struggle. In this world, morality is often subjective, and the line between good and evil is blurry. Many of the characters in Fallout, whether heroes or villains, are simply trying to survive in a world that no longer makes sense. Fact 61. One of the most unsettling legacies of the Great War is the creation of the supermutants. These towering mutated beings were born from the forced evolutionary virus, FOV, a dangerous experiment designed to create a new breed of human soldiers. Initially intended to enhance the physical abilities of humans, the FEV virus had unintended consequences. Instead of creating enhanced warriors, it transformed people into monstrous, hulking mutants. These super mutants are often larger than life, with tremendous strength and resistance to radiation, yet they are also intellectually stunted and driven by an insatiable need to spread their kind across the wasteland. Fact 62. The origin of the super mutants is tied directly to the scientific ambition of pre-war humanity, specifically the work of the military and scientific communities. The FEV virus, developed at the Mariposa military base in California, was initially meant to serve as a weapon of war, an unstoppable army of enhanced soldiers. However, the virus's effects were unpredictable, and its widespread use created a race of mutants who were unable to control their own destiny. The super mutants became a symbol of the dangerous side of scientific experimentation, representing the costs of humanity's pursuit of power without considering the moral consequences. Fact 63: the creation of the super mutants was not limited to a single location. Though Mariposa was the epicenter, the FEV virus spread to other areas, including Vault 87 in the Capital Wasteland. It was there that the Vault Dweller from Fallout 3 encountered some of the most terrifying and dangerous super mutants. The Vault, originally intended to be a safe haven, became a breeding ground for these mutants, who were often captured and transformed into terrifying versions of their former selves. Over time, the super mutants became a dominant force in several regions, causing untold suffering to the people who lived there. Fact 64: unlike regular humans, super mutants are often immune to radiation, which makes them unique survivors in the post apocalyptic world. Their resistance to radiation means that they can live in places where other people would die, like the toxic, irradiated ruins of the old world. However, despite their strength and resilience, the super mutants are also plagued by a sense of loneliness. They are often isolated from other beings, and their attempts to create their own communities are often met with conflict and hostility. Many of them, especially those from Vault 87, feel an inherent desire to create a race of beings like themselves, spreading the virus wherever they can. Fact 65: super mutants have a complex relationship with other factions in the wasteland. While some of them, like those found in the Capital Wasteland, have become militaristic, attempting to conquer and rule over the remains of humanity, others are more peaceful. For example, the super mutants found in the Mojave Wasteland are often portrayed as more tragic figures, struggling with their new existence. These mutants are often divided into different groups, some still loyal to their creators, while others seek their own place in the world, trying to survive alongside the humans they once sought to dominate. Fact 66: one of the most significant figures in the history of the super mutants is Marcus, a super mutant who was once a member of the Vault 13 experiment. Unlike most of his kind, Marcus did not succumb to the violence and chaos that often defined the super mutants. Instead, he rejected the warlike ways of his fellow mutants and chose to become a force for good. As the sheriff of the town of Broken Hills, Marcus sought to protect both mutants and humans alike, striving to create a community where both species could live together in peace, despite the prejudice and fear that often surrounded them. Fact 67: the super mutants' greatest strength, their physical power, is also their greatest weakness. While they are formidable opponents in battle, their intellect and ability to plan are often limited. Most super mutants are driven by simple desires: expansion, survival, and the need to create more mutants. This lack of intellectual depth makes them vulnerable to more cunning and strategic enemies, such as the Brotherhood of Steel or the NCR. Many of the battles fought by the super mutants are less about survival and more about attempting to assert dominance over an already fractured world. Fact 68: one of the most tragic aspects of the super mutants is their inability to reproduce naturally. As a result of the FEV virus, the mutants cannot have children the way normal humans can. This lack of a natural reproductive process means that supermutants must rely on the continued spread of the FEV virus to create more of their kind. This often involves capturing humans and forcibly exposing them to the virus, resulting in more supermutants. This method of reproduction creates a cycle of violence and fear, as the mutant's need for survival depends on the subjugation of others. Fact 69: the role of the supermutants in the larger Fallout narrative is symbolic of humanity's darker impulses, our desire for power, our willingness to sacrifice others in the name of progress, and our inability to see the consequences of unchecked scientific experimentation. The supermutants represent a world that has been forever altered by the ambitions of the past. Their existence is a direct result of human hubris, and their ongoing struggle to find a place in the wasteland is a reminder that even the greatest of creations can lead to unforeseen consequences. Fact 70: despite their violence and aggression, some of the supermutants in the Fallout universe strive for a semblance of humanity. They wrestle with the remnants of their former selves, and many of them are not inherently evil. Their struggles reflect the broader theme of the Fallout series, that the choices we make, whether out of fear, ambition, or desperation, often define who we become. The supermutant's attempts to find meaning and purpose in a world that no longer has a clear direction is a reminder of the persistence of hope, even in the most unlikely places. Fact 71: the vast world of Fallout is a diverse and expansive one, filled with a wide range of environments that tell the story of a world in ruins. From the arid deserts of the Mojave to the irradiated remains of the capital wasteland, each region offers its own unique challenges and beauty. These landscapes are not just backdrops for the adventures that unfold within them. They are living, breathing entities that shape the people and creatures who call them home. Every corner of the wasteland has a story to tell, and the geography itself is a character in the ongoing narrative of survival and rebirth. Fact 72: one of the most iconic locations in the Fallout series is the Mojave Wasteland, the setting of Fallout New Vegas. Located in the southwestern United States, the Mojave is a barren desert where the sun blazes down relentlessly and water is a scarce and precious resource. Despite the harsh conditions, life thrives in the Mojave, with communities like the New California Republic, NCR, and the various factions seeking to control the region's valuable resources. The Mojave is a land defined by conflict, survival, and the complex relationships between the various powers vying for dominance. Fact 73: the Capital Wasteland, the setting of Fallout 3, is another deeply iconic location in the series. This wasteland, centered around the ruins of Washington, D.C., is a stark contrast to the Mojave. The Capital Wasteland is filled with crumbling buildings, collapsed highways, and the remnants of once proud institutions. Here, radiation is a constant threat, and mutated creatures roam the land. The area is home to the ruins of the United States government, and places like the Pentagon and the White House stand as haunting symbols of a lost past. It is a place where the ideals of the old world clash with the harsh realities of the new one. Fact 74: the Great Basin, another region explored in Fallout. New Vegas is a dry, mountainous area filled with rugged terrain and scattered settlements. It is a region that has been shaped by both nature and the scars of human conflict. The Great Basin's geography makes it a perfect place for raiders and mercenaries to hide, while also being an area of great strategic importance. The land is dotted with both ancient ruins and new settlements, showing the slow but steady effort to rebuild what was lost. Yet the land is also fraught with danger, as violent storms and harsh elements make it difficult to survive. Fact 75: the Appalachia region, introduced in Fallout 76, offers a new perspective on the wasteland, focusing on the hills and mountains of West Virginia. Appalachia is defined by its dense forests, winding rivers, and rugged terrain, which stand in stark contrast to the deserts and ruined cities seen in other Fallout locations. However, even the beautiful landscapes of Appalachia are marred by the remnants of nuclear war. The region is filled with abandoned mines, old factories, and decaying infrastructure, and the forests are home to a variety of mutated creatures. The people of Appalachia have begun to rebuild, but the scars of the war remain etched in the land itself. Fact 76: the Commonwealth, introduced in Fallout 4, takes place in the ruins of the Boston area, a region that was once filled with history and cultural significance. The Commonwealth is a place of stark contrasts, where advanced technology and pre war architecture clash with the decay and destruction of the post apocalyptic world. The landscape is marked by ruined skyscrapers, abandoned streets, and the haunting remains of old world institutions. But amidst this destruction, there are also pockets of hope, where new settlements have taken root and people struggle to rebuild their lives. The Commonwealth is a land of both potential and peril, where the fight for survival is a constant battle. Fact 77: the area around the ruined Boston in the Commonwealth is particularly notable for its diversity of environments, from the grassy plains around the base of the Institute to the urban decay of downtown Boston. The region also features several important locations from pre war history, like the iconic Fenway Park, which serves as a battleground for the factions vying for control of the region. As the player navigates through this area, they will encounter ruins of once magnificent buildings, each one telling a story of what the world lost when the bombs fell. The Commonwealth is a testament to the human spirit as people fight to reclaim what was lost. Fact 78: the wasteland of the Fallout universe is not just defined by its cities and settlements, but also by the vast stretches of wilderness and open spaces that separate the remnants of civilization. These areas, though less populated, are filled with danger and opportunity alike. They are places where the brave or foolish venture out to scavenge, hunt, or simply survive. In these wild lands, one can encounter mutated creatures, discover hidden locations, or stumble upon ancient remnants of the old world. The geography of the wasteland, with its sprawling emptiness and broken cities, creates a world that is both haunting and full of possibility. Fact 79: one of the most memorable features of the Fallout world is its many underground spaces. From the vaults to hidden bunkers, secret military bases, and long abandoned subway tunnels, these subterranean locations add depth to the wasteland's geography. These underground spaces are often filled with dangers, from radioactive waste to feral creatures and lurking threats. Yet they also contain some of the most valuable remnants of the old world: advanced technology, weapons, and knowledge that could tip the balance of power in the wasteland. These hidden places are both treasures and traps, offering survivors a chance to claim power while presenting their own set of challenges. Fact 80: The nuclear wasteland's geography is often defined by its scars, places where the land itself has been marked by the Great War. Craters, burned forests, and glassed over ruins tell the tale of humanity's failed ambition. Yet, even in these devastated places, life persists. Mutated creatures and new species have adapted to the harsh conditions, and small groups of survivors make their homes in the most unlikely of places. The landscape of the wasteland is a constant reminder of what was lost, but also of the resilience of life itself. In the most desolate corners of the world, new life, both human and mutated, fights to take root. Fact 81: one of the most iconic characters in the Fallout series is the Vault Dweller, the protagonist of the original Fallout game. Emerging from the safety of Vault 13, the Vault Dweller's mission was to retrieve a water chip to save the vault from destruction. However, this seemingly simple quest quickly turned into a journey of discovery as the Vault Dweller uncovered the horrors of the post apocalyptic world. The Vault Dweller is defined not just by their actions, but by their morality. The choices they make shape not only their own destiny, but also the fate of the wasteland itself. Fact 82: another central figure in the Fallout lore is the Lone Wanderer, the protagonist of Fallout 3. Born in Vault 101, the Lone Wanderer's story begins with a personal tragedy: the mysterious death of their father. This loss sets the stage for an epic journey across the capital wasteland, where the Lone Wanderer becomes involved in the conflict between the Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, and the inhabitants of the wasteland. Like the Vault Dweller, the Lone Wanderer's story is shaped by choice, as they decide whether to save the wasteland, destroy it, or rule it. Their journey is a poignant exploration of identity, family, and survival. Fact 83: the character of the Courier from Fallout New Vegas presents a different type of protagonist. Unlike the more traditional heroes of the series, the Courier is a blank slate, someone whose past is a mystery. This allows players to shape the Courier's personality and morality based on their actions. Whether they are a mercenary, a diplomat, or a ruthless dictator, the Courier is a reflection of the player's choices. Their journey through the Mojave Wasteland is one of personal discovery as they navigate the complex relationships between the NCR, Caesar's Legion, and other factions, all while shaping the future of the region. Fact 84: one of the most memorable characters in the Fallout series is Joshua Graham, also known as the Burned Man. Once a high-ranking member of Caesar's Legion, Joshua Graham was betrayed by Caesar and burned alive, left for dead in the wasteland. However, he survived, becoming a symbol of redemption. In Fallout New Vegas, Joshua Graham plays a pivotal role in the conflict between Caesar's Legion and the New Canaanites. His story is one of personal transformation as he grapples with his violent past and attempts to make amends by leading the Dead Horses tribe, all while still seeking peace amidst the chaos of the wasteland. Fact 85: another key figure in Fallout New Vegas is Mr. House, the enigmatic ruler of New Vegas. Before the Great War, Robert House was a wealthy businessman and the owner of the New Vegas Strip. After the war, he used his pre-war wealth and advanced technology to prolong his life through cryogenics, allowing him to live well beyond a normal human lifespan. Now, Mr. House runs New Vegas with an iron fist, seeking to maintain control over the region's valuable resources. He is both a benevolent ruler and a cold, calculating figure, and his vision for the future of the Mojave shapes much of the game's narrative. Fact 86. In Fallout 3, one of the most compelling characters is Three Dog, the charismatic DJ of the Galaxy News Radio. With his distinct voice and penchant for broadcasting the events of the capital wasteland, Three Dog becomes a symbol of hope for those in the region. His broadcasts not only entertain, but also provide critical information about the movements of the Enclave, the Brotherhood of Steel, and other factions. Three Dog's role in the story is crucial as he becomes a voice for the oppressed, helping to inspire the people of the wasteland to resist the threats that loom over them. Fact 87. Another character that plays a significant role in the Fallout series is Dogmeat, the loyal canine companion of the player. First appearing in Fallout 1, Dogmeat is a dog that follows the player, helping them in combat and providing a source of companionship throughout their journey. Dogmeat's loyalty and bravery are unmatched, and while he does not speak, his actions speak volumes. In each game where he appears, Dogmeat serves as a reminder that even in a world full of mutants, radiation, and devastation, the bond between a human and their companion can offer hope and solace. Fact 88. In Fallout, New Vegas, one of the most morally complex characters is Caesar, the leader of Caesar's Legion. Once a Roman historian named Edward Sallow, Caesar established the Legion after conquering various tribes and incorporating them into his new, brutal empire. Caesar believes in the purity of his vision, a return to Roman ideals of discipline, strength, and conquest. His methods are ruthless, and his desire for control over the Mojave is unyielding. His personality and beliefs make him both a villain and a tragic figure, as his ambitions for order and civilization come at a great cost to humanity and the wasteland. Fact 89. The character of Veronica Santangelo from Fallout, New Vegas, is one of the most beloved companions in the series. A member of the Brotherhood of Steel, Veronica is fiercely independent and highly skilled in combat, but her character is defined by her internal conflict. She is disillusioned with the Brotherhood's methods and their obsession with technology. Throughout her journey with the player, Veronica grapples with the idea of loyalty to her faction while also questioning their motives. Her story is one of self-discovery and the search for personal meaning in a world that has long lost its sense of direction. Fact 90. In Fallout 4, one of the central figures is Nick Valentine, a synth detective who has a deep, personal connection to the pre-war world. As a member of the Commonwealth's Institute, Nick was created to serve as a detective, but became disillusioned with his purpose. Nick is a unique character, a mix of synthetic and human traits, embodying the complex themes of identity, humanity, and what it means to be alive. His backstory, filled with betrayal and self-discovery, adds a layer of emotional depth to Fallout 4 and provides a thought-provoking commentary on the nature of artificial intelligence. Fact 91. One of the most striking features of the Fallout universe is its technology, which is often stuck in a retro-futuristic aesthetic. In the world before the Great War, the United States embraced the ideals of the atomic age. Nuclear power, advanced robotics, and flying cars were all seen as the future, but the technology of Fallout is frozen in time, stuck in the 1950s. Despite the horrors of nuclear war and the ensuing devastation, this technology remains a defining aspect of the wasteland, a reminder of a world that was obsessed with progress, yet blind to the consequences of its creations. Fact 92. One of the most iconic pieces of technology in the Fallout series is the power armor. Developed by the United States military before the Great War, power armor was originally designed for use by soldiers in combat. It enhances the wearer's strength, endurance, and protection, making them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. In the wasteland, power armor is often associated with the Brotherhood of Steel, who maintain and repair it in their efforts to protect humanity from the dangers of the post apocalyptic world. Despite its power, however, the armor is often cumbersome and requires careful maintenance to function properly. Fact 93: Robots are another central aspect of Fallout's technological landscape. Before the Great War, robots were a common sight in the homes and factories of America, performing mundane tasks such as cleaning, cooking, and even providing companionship. In the wasteland, these robots still function, often malfunctioning or showing signs of their creator's neglect. Many of the robots encountered in the Fallout world are based on pre war models, such as the Mr. Handy or Protectrons. These robots serve as eerie reminders of a time when technology was built to serve humanity, but now they exist in a broken world, disconnected from their original purpose. Fact 94: The Pip-Boy, a small, wrist mounted computer that serves as the player's interface with the world of Fallout, is another example of the unique technology in the game. A critical tool for surviving in the wasteland, the Pip-Boy provides a wealth of information, from inventory management and health stats to access to maps and quest tracking. Though crude by modern standards, the Pip-Boy is a symbol of the technological innovations that defined the pre-war world. It's also an artifact that serves as a link between the past and the present, allowing survivors to navigate the world in a manner that feels both familiar and foreign. Fact 95: Nuclear weapons play a central role in the Fallout universe. The Great War, which occurred in 2077, was sparked by a global conflict in which nuclear weapons were unleashed on cities and countries around the world. The fallout from this war reshaped the planet, with entire regions becoming uninhabitable due to radiation. Even in the post apocalyptic world, nuclear weapons are a major part of the wasteland's power dynamics. Some factions, like the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel, seek to control or contain these weapons, while others, like the Raiders, use them as symbols of dominance and fear. Fact 96: The atomic bombs in the Fallout universe are a reflection of humanity's obsession with nuclear power, and they are often tied to the darker side of technological progress. These weapons, while designed to provide power and security, were ultimately responsible for the destruction of the world. In the Fallout series, nuclear bombs are not just destructive tools, they are also symbols of humanity's hubris, a warning of what can happen when power is sought without consideration for the consequences. The presence of these bombs in the wasteland is a constant reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked technological advancement. Fact 97: The Vault Tech Corporation, the company responsible for the creation of the vaults, also developed a variety of advanced technological devices for the pre-war world. One of the most notable of these devices was the holotape, which allowed for the recording and playback of digital information. In the wasteland, holotapes are a valuable resource as they contain important data such as personal logs, records, and instructions for various tasks. These holotapes are often found in the ruins of old buildings and they provide players with valuable lore and insight into the world before the Great War, offering glimpses into the lives of those who lived in a world now lost. Fact 98. The Fallout universe is also defined by the strange and mutated creatures that populate the wasteland, many of which are the result of scientific experiments gone wrong. Mutants like the Deathclaws, once simple lizards, were genetically altered to become terrifying predators with near impenetrable hides and razor sharp claws. The existence of these mutated creatures is a direct consequence of the technological hubris that defined the pre war world. The attempts to control and manipulate nature, whether through the use of radiation or genetic modification, led to the creation of these monstrous beings, which now roam the wasteland, posing a constant threat to survivors. Fact 99. One of the most fascinating pieces of technology in Fallout is the Stealth Boy, a device that renders the wearer invisible for a limited time. Originally developed by the military, the Stealth Boy uses advanced cloaking technology to bend light around the wearer, making them effectively invisible to the naked eye. In the wasteland, these devices are highly sought after as they provide a valuable advantage in both combat and stealth operations. The Stealth Boy is a reminder of the kind of technology that existed before the Great War, a world where invisibility and near perfect surveillance were once within reach. Fact 100. Another crucial aspect of Fallout's technology is the science of radiation. In the post apocalyptic world, radiation is both a deadly threat and a resource. Some regions of the wasteland are highly radioactive, making them dangerous to enter, while others have mutated life forms that thrive in these irradiated environments. Radiation is a constant concern for survivors who must find ways to protect themselves from its harmful effects. Yet some factions, like the Enclave, seek to harness the power of radiation as a tool for control and power. Radiation is a symbol of both destruction and potential, showing how technology's reach has shaped the world in unpredictable ways. Fact 101. The Great War, which took place on October 23, 2077, is the cataclysmic event that defines the Fallout universe. It was a sudden and devastating global conflict between the United States and China, primarily fought over the dwindling resources of the Earth, especially oil. Tensions had been building for years as both superpowers scrambled for control over the last remaining resources. In a matter of hours, the war escalated to full-scale nuclear devastation, with each side unleashing its arsenal of nuclear weapons. The war didn't last long, but the impact was eternal, as the world was left a radioactive wasteland and humanity was pushed to the brink of extinction. Fact 102. The cause of the Great War was rooted in the collapse of diplomatic relations between the United States and China. By the mid-21st century, both nations had exhausted most of their natural resources, especially oil, which led to increasing tensions. China, desperate for new resources, invaded Alaska in 2066, hoping to seize control of the vast oil reserves there. The United States responded by deploying military forces to Alaska, leading to a series of border skirmishes. Over the following years, both nations prepared for a full-scale war, and by the time the first nuclear bombs fell, the world was already on the brink of collapse. Fact 103. One of the most iconic elements of the Great War is the idea of the war that never had to happen. Despite the vast resources and potential for diplomacy, the Great War was sparked by a series of miscalculations, miscommunications, and extreme measures taken by both sides. The United States, fearing the complete collapse of its power, opted to strike first in a desperate attempt to preserve its influence. Meanwhile, China, seeking to secure its future, retaliated with overwhelming force. What began as a territorial dispute rapidly escalated, and by the time both nations launched their nuclear arsenals, any chance for peace had evaporated. Fact 104. When the bombs fell, the world was completely unprepared for the scale of the devastation. In just 2 hours, over 100 cities across the globe were reduced to rubble. Major urban centers such as Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and Beijing were annihilated, leaving nothing but radioactive ruins. The intense heat and the shockwave from the nuclear explosions instantly killed millions of people, and those who survived were left to navigate a world where nearly all infrastructure, resources, and order had vanished. The fallout from the bombs spread across the globe, poisoning the air, water, and land, leaving the earth uninhabitable for many years to come. Fact 105. One of the key players in the aftermath of this Great War was Vault Tech, the company responsible for building the vaults, which were meant to house a select portion of humanity's survivors. While some vaults were designed as true shelters, many were built for darker purposes, experiments that would test the limits of human endurance and morality. Vault-Tech's vaults became the last bastion of civilization, housing not just the survivors, but also a disturbing array of social experiments. The vaults were intended to preserve humanity, but in many cases, they instead became the breeding grounds for a new, fractured world. Fact 106. In the early days after the Great War, survival was incredibly difficult. The nuclear blasts not only devastated the planet, but also unleashed radiation that poisoned the Earth's surface. Those who were fortunate enough to survive the initial wave of destruction often found themselves struggling to find food, water, and shelter. Cities lay in ruins, and the few remaining survivors were left to fend for themselves. The lack of resources, combined with radiation, turned much of the planet into an inhospitable wasteland. The world had irrevocably changed, and the survivors had no choice but to adapt to the harsh, new reality. Fact 107. Despite the immediate devastation, humanity did not entirely fade into extinction after the Great War. While most of the world's population perished, a few scattered groups of survivors emerged from the vaults, bunkers, and other shelters. These groups, though often isolated and disorganized, began to rebuild their societies. They established settlements in the ruins of the old world, attempting to recreate some semblance of civilization. Some of these survivors formed factions, while others chose a more solitary existence. Over time, these factions grew and developed their own systems of governance, law, and conflict. Though humanity had been shattered, the spirit of survival persisted. Fact 108. One of the most notable consequences of the Great War was the creation of the mutated creatures that roam the wasteland. The nuclear fallout, combined with genetic mutations caused by radiation, led to the creation of grotesque new life forms. These mutations, which affected both plants and animals, led to the rise of dangerous creatures like deathclaws, radroaches, and super mutants. The Great War not only destroyed humanity, but also radically transformed the natural world. The wasteland was now a place of constant danger, where the remnants of nature were as much of a threat as the surviving human factions. Fact 109. In the aftermath of the Great War, the United States government was effectively destroyed and much of the world fell into chaos. The few remaining remnants of the pre war government, like the Enclave, believed that they were the true heirs to the old world. The Enclave, with its advanced technology and isolationist beliefs, sought to restore order by any means necessary, often resorting to extreme measures. They were convinced that humanity could only be saved through their leadership, using force and control to eliminate anyone they considered a threat. Their vision of a pure world, however, came at the cost of countless lives. Fact 110. One of the most tragic aspects of the Great War's aftermath was the loss of culture and knowledge. The pre war world, with its libraries, museums, and schools, held vast amounts of information about humanity's history, achievements, and dreams. But after the bombs fell, much of that knowledge was lost forever. The survivors of the Great War were left to rebuild with only fragments of the old world to guide them. The survivors often had to rely on their instincts and the barest remnants of technological knowledge to get by. The legacy of the past was buried beneath the rubble, and those who lived in the wasteland could only guess at what had once been. Fact 111. The wasteland is filled with mutated creatures, many of which were once ordinary animals, but were transformed by the radioactive fallout of the Great War. One of the most iconic and terrifying of these creatures is the Deathclaw. Originally a military experiment designed to create an enhanced predator, Deathclaws became a symbol of the dangers of unchecked scientific ambition. These massive, predatory creatures are covered in thick, scaly hides and have claws that can tear through metal. Their terrifying speed, strength, and aggression make them one of the most feared creatures in the wasteland, and encountering one is often a death sentence for the unprepared. Fact 112. Rad scorpions are another terrifying creature that haunts the wasteland. These mutated, giant versions of the scorpion are a constant threat to anyone venturing through the desert or other irradiated regions. Rad scorpions are not just large, but their radiation-infused bodies make them even more deadly, as they can deliver poisonous stings capable of paralyzing or killing their prey. These creatures are often found in swarms, making them even more dangerous. While they are terrifying on their own, they also serve as a reminder of the long-lasting effects of radiation and the dangers lurking in the most unexpected places. Fact 113. The radroach is another creature that has adapted to the post-apocalyptic world, growing to enormous sizes as a result of radiation. Though they are not as deadly as the deathclaws or rad scorpions, radroaches are still a menace in the wasteland. These giant, mutated insects often infest ruined buildings, vaults, and other abandoned structures, making them a nuisance to anyone who dares to enter. While they pose little threat individually, radroaches tend to travel in large groups, overwhelming unprepared travelers and scavengers. Their presence is a reminder of how even the smallest creatures can thrive in the aftermath of the Great War. Fact 114. The feral ghoul is another creature that has become synonymous with the Fallout series. These are the reanimated corpses of humans who were exposed to extreme levels of radiation and are now driven by an insatiable hunger for flesh. Feral ghouls are often found in ruined cities, tunnels, and vaults, lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to attack. They are relentless, often charging at any living thing they encounter. While some ghouls retain a semblance of their former humanity, most have lost all traces of their original selves, becoming little more than mindless, flesh hungry predators. Fact 115. On the opposite end of the spectrum are the glowing ones, a type of ghoul that is even more dangerous and disturbing. Glowing ones are the result of extreme radiation exposure, and their decayed, withered forms are often covered in radiation burns that cause them to glow faintly. Unlike regular ghouls, glowing ones are capable of radiating a dangerous level of radiation, which they can unleash upon nearby enemies. Their ability to passively irradiate their surroundings makes them an even more significant threat in the wasteland. Despite their deteriorating bodies, glowing ones retain a strong will to survive, and they can be just as relentless as their more feral counterparts. Fact 116. Super mutants, as mentioned previously, are one of the most significant mutated threats in the Fallout universe. These towering, hulking creatures are the result of the forced evolutionary virus, FEV, and are typically much larger, stronger, and more resilient than the average human. They are often driven by an instinctual desire to conquer and expand their numbers. While some supermutants are capable of forming complex societies, many of them are aggressive and seek to wipe out anything that poses a threat to their existence. The supermutants' origins as humans give them a tragic, almost pitiable quality, but their violent tendencies make them a dangerous force in the wasteland. Fact 117. Another haunting creature in the Fallout universe is the Yao Guai, a mutated bear like creature that roams the wilderness of the capital wasteland and other regions. These creatures were once normal bears, but after exposure to radiation, they grew to enormous sizes and developed an aggressive nature. Yao Guai are powerful predators with sharp claws and teeth capable of tearing through armor. They are incredibly territorial and will attack anyone who enters their domain. The Yao Guai's appearance, with their disfigured faces and muscular, hulking bodies, makes them both terrifying and tragic, a reminder of how the world was transformed by the Great War. Fact 118. The Cazador is another mutation born of radiation, though its origins are far more dangerous. These giant mutated insects are native to the Mojave Wasteland and are often compared to giant wasps. Cazadores are incredibly fast and dangerous, with wings that allow them to swoop down on their prey without warning. Their venomous stings are powerful enough to incapacitate or kill even the most well-prepared survivor. Cazadores are relentless hunters, often swarming in packs to overwhelm their prey. Their aggressive nature and speed make them one of the most terrifying creatures in the Mojave, and they are an ever-present threat to anyone traveling through the region. Fact 119. Mirelurks are another type of mutated creature found throughout the wasteland, particularly in the coastal regions. These crab-like creatures were once regular aquatic life forms, but were altered by the nuclear fallout. Mirelurks are known for their tough, armored exteriors, making them difficult to kill. Some varieties of Mirelurk are even larger, resembling mutated lobsters or crabs, with powerful pincers capable of crushing their enemies. Mirelurk nests are often found in or near bodies of water, where these creatures have adapted to live. They are aggressive, territorial, and will attack anyone who dares to approach their lairs, making them a constant danger to the unwary. Fact 120. The FEV virus that created the supermutants, us and other mutants, also caused the rise of another creature in the Fallout universe, the Centaur. These horrific creatures are a grotesque mix of human and animal parts created by the effects of the virus on their original human forms. Centaurs are often found near areas where FEV experiments were conducted, such as vaults or military research facilities. These creatures are slow moving but dangerous, with multiple mutated limbs and a hunger for flesh. Their nightmarish appearance, with twisted, asymmetrical bodies and distorted features, makes them one of the most disturbing creatures in the Fallout universe. Fact 121. The Fallout universe is filled with mysteries, secrets of the old world that still echo through the wasteland, waiting to be uncovered by those daring enough to seek them out. One such mystery is the enigmatic location known as the Citadel, the headquarters of the Brotherhood of Steel in the capital wasteland. Hidden deep within the ruins of the Pentagon, the Citadel holds not just the Brotherhood's greatest technology, but also long forgotten knowledge from the pre war world. Within its walls, a vast treasure trove of information lies in wait, offering clues to the past and perhaps the future of humanity's rebuilding. Fact 122. Another mystery that permeates the wasteland is the legendary Vault 111, the vault featured in Fallout 4. Unlike other vaults, which were designed as shelters for a select group of survivors, Vault 111 was a secretive and sinister experiment. The inhabitants of Vault 111 were placed into cryogenic stasis, effectively freezing them for what was meant to be a short period. However, upon awakening, the vault dwellers discovered that they had been frozen for over 200 years, with the world around them completely changed. Vault 111's true purpose remains a mystery, and the secrets it holds are uncovered slowly, one piece at a time. Fact 123. Deep within the wasteland lies another mystery, the Pip-Boy 3000. This seemingly innocuous piece of technology is essential to every survivor's journey, yet its origins are clouded in secrecy. While it is clear that the Pip-Boy was a product of Vault Tech, its true purpose extends beyond just managing inventory or quests. Some believe it was meant to be a tool for control, a device designed to monitor and track individuals while giving them the illusion of freedom. The Pip-Boy's presence on every survivor's wrist is a constant reminder of the pre-war world's reach, even in the aftermath of its destruction. Fact 124. Another deep mystery revolves around the Institute, a powerful and secretive faction in Fallout 4. Hidden beneath the Commonwealth, the Institute is known for its highly advanced technology, including the creation of synths, artificial humanoid robots indistinguishable from humans. The Institute's true motives remain ambiguous, and the ethical questions surrounding their creations add layers of intrigue to their story. Are they trying to save humanity, or is their pursuit of technological perfection leading them down a darker path? The Institute's presence is a dark shadow that looms over the wasteland, influencing events without revealing their true hand. Fact 125. The Garden of Eden Creation Kit, GECK, is another legendary piece of technology that remains shrouded in mystery. According to pre-war documentation, the GECK was designed to restore life to the barren, post-apocalyptic world after the Great War. The GECK was thought to be capable of terraforming the wasteland, turning irradiated deserts into fertile lands once again. However, the true power of the GECK has yet to be fully realized. While rumors persist of GECKs hidden in vaults or military bunkers, The locations of these devices remain a closely guarded secret, offering a glimmer of hope, or perhaps a deadly temptation for those who seek it. Fact 126. The mothership Zeta is one of the most bizarre mysteries in the Fallout universe. In Fallout 3, players encounter a crashed UFO that is tied to a series of strange abductions. Upon investigating, they are transported aboard a massive alien ship where they must face extraterrestrial enemies and uncover the ship's true purpose. The mystery of the mothership Zeta raises more questions than answers. Who are the aliens behind the ship? Why were humans abducted? And what does this encounter mean for the future of the wasteland? The ship remains a testament to the unknown and the uncharted aspects of the Fallout world. Fact 127. In the Fallout universe, the FEV, Forced Evolutionary Virus, is a key mystery. Developed by the United States military, the FEV was intended to enhance human strength, resilience, and intelligence. However, the virus caused terrifying mutations, turning humans into super mutants, feral ghouls, and other horrific creatures. The origins of FEV, the extent of its use, and the experiments surrounding it remain a central mystery throughout the series. The virus's ability to warp life in such profound ways raises questions about humanity's attempts to control evolution and whether the consequences of such power are worth the risks it carries. Fact 128. The Pit, as featured in Fallout 3, is a mysterious post-apocalyptic city located in what was once Pittsburgh. The Pit is home to a group of slavers and a significant amount of technological secrets hidden in the ruins of the old world. One of the most curious aspects of the Pit is its massive steel mill, where slaves are forced to work, processing materials for the enigmatic owner. The Pit stands as a reminder of how, even in a broken world, the remnants of industry and power continue to hold sway over the people caught in its grip, leaving an uncertain legacy. Fact 129. A particularly haunting mystery in the Fallout world revolves around the GK, Garden of Eden Creation Kit. In Fallout 3, players are tasked with finding one of these powerful devices, rumored to have the ability to terraform the wasteland and restore life to the planet. The existence of the Juatsic is steeped in legend, and its true power is shrouded in secrecy. While the game's story suggests that it can be used to revitalize the land, its potential to do good or evil remains uncertain, adding an air of mystery to every search for its location. Fact 130. One of the most disturbing mysteries in Fallout 4 centers around the Children of Adam. This mysterious faction believes that radiation is not only a natural part of the post-apocalyptic world, but also a divine force. The Children of Adam worship radiation as a god, often seeking to spread it to purify the wasteland. Their rituals, which include the worship of irradiated sites and individuals, add an eerie and unsettling element to the Commonwealth. The true beliefs of the Children of Adam remain clouded, and their influence continues to grow in the shadows, sparking debates about faith, science, and survival in a broken world. Fact 131. The impact of the Great War on the environment is one of the most defining aspects of the Fallout universe. The nuclear bombs dropped during the war not only devastated cities and killed millions of people instantly, but they also left an indelible scar on the planet itself. Radiation seeped into the soil, the air, and the water, making large portions of the Earth uninhabitable for centuries. The landscape was forever altered, with once lush forests turned into radioactive wastelands and vast stretches of land left barren. The world, as we know it, ceased to exist, replaced by a harsh, unforgiving environment. Fact 132. One of the most significant consequences of nuclear war was the collapse of the Earth's ecosystems. Entire species of animals and plants were wiped out, while others mutated and adapted to the new, radiation infested environment. Some of the mutated creatures, like the death claws, became apex predators, dominating the wasteland. The radiation also gave rise to the so called glowing ones, a horrifying form of mutated ghoul whose very presence radiates deadly energy. The new ecosystems, born from the ashes of the old, are far from balanced, with radiation continuing to alter the natural world in unpredictable ways. Fact 133. The survivors of the Great War who emerged from the vaults were not the only ones affected by the radiation. The effects of the bombs spread across the globe, touching even those who were not immediately caught in the blasts. As the radiation spread, it mutated plants and animals and humans alike. People who had been exposed to radiation became ghouls, either feral or otherwise, and some even evolved into more intelligent and capable beings. Radiation, once seen as a source of energy, became a force that altered the very fabric of life, shaping the world into something unrecognizable from its pre-war self. Fact 134. The destruction caused by the Great War was not limited to the physical landscape. The social fabric of humanity was torn apart as well. Governments crumbled, and most of the world's infrastructure collapsed, leaving survivors to fend for themselves in a world that no longer made sense. In the absence of centralized authority, new factions began to form, each with its own vision for rebuilding civilization. The Brotherhood of Steel, the New California Republic, and the Enclave all sought to impose their order on the chaotic wasteland, each one believing that their way was the key to humanity's future. The struggle for power became just as deadly as the fallout itself. Fact 135. The psychological toll of nuclear war was equally as devastating as the physical damage. Survivors faced not only the trauma of losing their homes, families, and everything they once knew, but also the ongoing fear and uncertainty of living in a world ravaged by radiation. For many, the idea of rebuilding seemed impossible. The lingering effects of radiation led to chronic health problems, and many survivors became paranoid, distrustful of others. The landscape itself seemed to mock them with its endless devastation. The emotional scars of the Great War became just as permanent as the physical ones, leaving people to navigate a world of grief, loss, and survival. Fact 136. In Fallout 3, the concept of Project Purity is introduced, which is an effort to purify the waters of the capital wasteland and restore life to the irradiated world. This project, led by James, the protagonist's father, represents a desperate hope to reverse some of the environmental damage caused by the Great War. It is a symbol of the survivors' desire to reclaim their world from the poison of radiation. However, like many things in the Fallout universe, Project Purity is marred by complications, sabotage, and tragic consequences, reminding us that even the most well-meaning efforts can be thwarted by the chaos left in the wake of nuclear devastation. Fact 137. The constant radiation in the Fallout universe also creates another challenge for the survivors: mutagenic effects. While some survivors develop enhanced traits, others suffer from grotesque mutations that make survival even more difficult. Mutants, like the super mutants, have gained immense strength, but they are often rendered unable to think rationally, controlled by a basic desire for survival and destruction. Many of the creatures in the wasteland, such as rodroaches and yao guai, are the product of radiation induced mutations. The very forces that changed the land also altered the creatures that inhabit it, creating a world where humanity must constantly battle against nature's twisted aftermath. Fact 138. In the Mojave Wasteland, the effects of nuclear war are most evident in places like the Big MT, the Big Mountain Research Facility, a site for scientific experimentation before the war. The facility, home to a wide array of scientific research, was subjected to the same nuclear devastation as the rest of the world. Today, it stands as a monument to the folly of pre war humanity's attempts to control nature. In Fallout, New Vegas, the courier ventures into the Big MT, uncovering the twisted remnants of experiments gone wrong, as the technology left behind continues to influence the world in ways that are both dangerous and tragic. Fact 139. The wasteland's constant exposure to radiation has also created a phenomenon known as the wasteland's memory. In many areas, the physical remnants of the old world still stand: crumbling skyscrapers, rusted military installations, and sunken cities, each of them holding fragments of human history. These ruins serve as a poignant reminder of what was lost, and as survivors wander through these ruins, they uncover stories of pre war life. These abandoned places are both beautiful and tragic, as they reflect the fleeting nature of human civilization and the tragic aftermath of mankind's inability to foresee the consequences of its technological advancements. Fact 140. Perhaps the most symbolic of all the environmental consequences of nuclear war are the nuclear winter conditions that follow in the wake of widespread devastation. In some regions, the fallout from the nuclear strikes, combined with the climate disruptions caused by the war's after effects, led to extended periods of cold, barren winters. These long stretches of frozen, desolate land are inhospitable to most forms of life, making survival even more difficult. The nuclear winter is a visual and emotional representation of the planet's suffering, a reminder that humanity's struggle for survival is constantly overshadowed by the consequences of their own actions. Fact 141. The Fallout series is defined not just by its story, but by the lasting legacy of its world. One of the most significant aspects of the Fallout universe is how it reflects the dangers of unchecked ambition. From the rise of factions like the Brotherhood of Steel to the destructive power of the Enclave, the series consistently explores the theme of humanity's attempts to control nature and technology. In the post apocalyptic wasteland, these ambitions often lead to unintended consequences, forcing survivors to contend with the results of past decisions and highlighting the complexity of rebuilding a fractured world. Fact 142. In the Fallout series, the choices of the player often influence the fate of entire factions and regions. The games give players the ability to shape the future of the wasteland, but those choices often come with moral consequences. Should you side with the new California Republic, a faction trying to restore democracy and law to the wasteland? Or will you ally with the brutal Caesar's Legion, seeking to conquer the Mojave through tyranny? The decision is ultimately in your hands, but Fallout consistently asks, what kind of world will you create, and who will be left to live in it? Fact 143. One of the most enduring symbols in the Fallout universe is the Vault Boy, the cheerful mascot that has become synonymous with the series. Originally created as part of the Vault Tech marketing campaign, Vault Boy's smiling face appears on countless promotional materials, from posters to advertisements for the vaults. But in the post apocalyptic world, Vault Boy has taken on a new meaning. His image is a reminder of the vault's sinister experiments and the irony of their promise to protect humanity, showing how something once used to sell hope became a symbol of the great tragedy and cynicism that followed the Great War. Fact 144. The vaults themselves, though initially designed as safe havens, are another example of the Fallout series' exploration of human nature. Most vaults were not built with the intention of merely surviving the apocalypse, but with secretive experiments in mind. Some vaults were filled with people who were forced to endure harsh conditions, while others subjected their inhabitants to bizarre social experiments. Vault 101, for example, was designed to never open its doors, and its people were isolated from the outside world for generations. These vaults, while providing temporary shelter, are also a reflection of humanity's darker impulses, where control and manipulation overshadow the desire to simply survive. Fact 145. The Fallout universe also explores the impact of propaganda and control. The Enclave, for example, presents itself as the rightful heir to the United States government, using its advanced technology and propaganda to try to convince the wasteland's inhabitants that their authoritarian rule is necessary for survival. Meanwhile, the Brotherhood of Steel, while seemingly a more honorable faction, also maintains a strict hierarchy and holds technological knowledge tightly, limiting its use for fear that others may misuse it. Both factions reflect different forms of power, where the promise of order and protection is often inextricably linked with control and manipulation. Fact 146. Throughout the Fallout series, the use of radiation is a key element in shaping the world. While radiation initially served as a destructive force, it became an integral part of the environment, influencing everything from the creatures that mutated in the wasteland to the very soil and air that survivors depend on. The radiation itself is a constant reminder of the war's impact, and it represents both a physical and psychological barrier for those who attempt to rebuild. But radiation also offers a certain strange beauty, creating bizarre landscapes in a world where life endures in unpredictable and often terrifying forms. Fact 147. In Fallout New Vegas, the Mojave Wasteland is a place of opportunity and danger. It is here that the player encounters some of the most complex and morally ambiguous characters in the series. From the enigmatic Mr. House, who controls New Vegas with an iron fist, to the ruthless Caesar's Legion, and the idealistic New California Republic, the Mojave is a microcosm of the broader struggles within the wasteland. The interplay between these factions and the player's choices highlight the theme of power and the struggle for control over resources, land, and the future of the wasteland itself. Fact 148. The Fallout series also highlights the emotional toll of survival in a broken world. In Fallout 4, the protagonist, known as the Soul Survivor, emerges from a vault after over 200 years of cryogenic stasis to find that their world is gone, their family lost, and their past erased. As the Soul Survivor navigates the Commonwealth, they are forced to contend with not only the physical dangers of the wasteland, but also the psychological trauma of living in a world where everything they once knew has vanished. The emotional weight of this loss resonates throughout the series as survivors struggle to find meaning in a world that has been forever changed. Fact 149. The Fallout universe is filled with countless characters, many of whom are shaped by the harsh realities of the wasteland. From companions like Dogmeat, who offers unconditional loyalty, to figures like Joshua Graham, who seeks redemption after his past betrayals, the people of the wasteland represent a diverse array of experiences. Many of these characters are defined by their personal struggles, surviving in a world where the old rules no longer apply, and where trust is often a luxury few can afford. The emotional depth of these characters and their relationships with the player gives the wasteland a sense of humanity despite its chaos. Fact 150. The legacy of the Fallout universe is one of both hope and despair. While the Great War left the world in ruin, the survivors continue to rebuild, each in their own way. Some choose to take up arms, while others seek to restore the values of the old world, hoping to rebuild something better. The wasteland is a place where every choice matters and where the future remains uncertain. The Fallout series, through its exploration of power, morality, and survival, leaves us with a question that echoes throughout the land. Can humanity rebuild itself, or is it doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? Thank you for drifting with me through the vast and haunting world of Fallout. From the silent remnants of the Great War to the whispers of mutated creatures and the memories of lost civilizations, we've explored a world shaped by the echoes of the past and the fragile hope of rebuilding. The wasteland may be a place of harsh survival, but within it lies the possibility of renewal, even in the most broken places. May your dreams be filled with quiet strength and gentle resolve, and may the winds of the wasteland carry you into peaceful slumber. Good night.